Welcome back to Hammurabi, boys and girls. So today I've got a few more pictures for you on the screen. You can check those out. Of course, I've hoped you've had a chance to Google and check some things out yourself. But you can see in this picture over on the far side, there's a man standing near the stele. Now, of course, the stele is on a raised item there, so it's not quite an actual exact measurement of how much taller it is than the human, but you can obviously see it's pretty big and looks pretty heavy and thick and solid. So that's a little comparison right there, and that's in the Louvre in France. You could go and see that if you want to. Then a couple of additional pictures. This one's going to be particular today because you read already that this picture was purposeful. It was meaningful, and we're going to read that again today. And then, of course, here are the 282 laws, the prologue, the laws, and the epilogue. So I'm going to go ahead and go through A and B with you today. Make changes as you need to, because this is how you're going to write your CER. You'll need the evidence from these documents to be able to construct and prove your answer to your question, which is Hammurabi's Code. Was it just? Was it fair? Or was it unfair? Was it not just? So you're going to have to answer that question by using evidence in these documents. Okay, as promised, I want you to start the day with a little bit of song. So just hold on here. It's going to click over, as we know. And you can listen to this and maybe get some more evidence for your CER, or just something fun to share with your parents when you get home tonight.
The city-states Euphrates River. Hey, I got a new lesson for you about ancient Mesopotamia. Euphrates River and the Tigris River form the cradle of civilization. Akkadians long ago conquered Sumer, took control. Sargon led his armies in their chariots. They rolled by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Persian Gulfs where they found ancient ruins underground. Archaeologists did lots of excavation down by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, both the Euphrates River and the Tigris River used to flood, bringing lots of fertile mud. But the problem was that water washed away the crops. Dams and levees made it stop. When it was dry, they'd irrigate. Fighting over water led to war between the city-states. Cuneiform is ancient writing that tells us Sumer city-states were always fighting. They were the first civilization in Mesopotamia. Then came the Akkadians who started empire mania. Akkadians long ago conquered Sumer, took control. Sargon led his armies in their chariots. They rode by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, near the Persian Gulfs where they found ancient ruins underground. Archaeologists did lots of excavation down by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River. King Sargon got real old, told his sons to take the throne, but the huge Akkadian empire would fall out of their control. Then came Hammurabi, who would take full command. Hammurabi was the king of the Babylonians, man. Babylonia was the land where they told you obey Hammurabi's code, praise Hammurabi's code, break Hammurabi's code, and you'll be saying, oh no. Akkadians long ago conquered Sumer, took control. Sargon led his armies in their chariots. They rode by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, near the Persian Gulfs where they found ancient ruins underground. Archaeologists did lots of excavation down by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River. Babylonians built roads, they traded grain for gold. They kept themselves united under Hammurabi's code. Hammurabi's code, Hammurabi's code, Hammurabi's code, Hammurabi's code, which was a bunch of laws they believed it had no flaws. They obeyed it just because they thought Hammurabi was chosen by the gods. Oh, chosen by the gods. Oh. Akkadians long ago conquered consumer took control. Sargon led his armies in their chariots. They rode by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River. Near the Persian Gulfs where they found ancient ruins underground. Archaeologists did lots of excavation down by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River, by the Euphrates River. Mesopotamia. Euphrates.
Okay, boys and girls, I don't know about you, but those lips on those statues freak me out. Creepy. Okay, anyways, back to the document A. You don't need yours out yet. So if you have yours out, just put it to the side. I just want to go over it on the screen. So I just want you to be able to see it, and then you've already read it. You read it with your class or partner or yourself. But sometimes when we hear things the second time, we gather more from it. So I want you to be able to have the chance to listen again and then be able to hear it again. So you might find something new or interesting that you can use for your CER or just for your knowledge. So we read the source. This is from on the Stele of Hammurabi's code, and it's at the Louvre Museum in Paris, France. And then we can see that it's made of black dorite, which is a type of a stone and weighs 4 tons. And we've already noticed that the pictures are bad, so you've Googled that yourself. But I want to come along here. It says, the carving at the top of the stele shows Hammurabi standing before Shamash, the god of justice, who is seated on his throne. Shamash is instructing Hammurabi in the law, and you can totally see that in the picture, in the carving. So I'm just going to glance back right here. You can see this interaction between them, right? And gathering information and getting information. So that is depicted there. Below the two figures is the prologue, in which Hammurabi lists the names of the gods, saying that they have given him the right to rule. The prologue, like the rest of the code, is written in wedge-shaped cuneiform letters that have been carved into the stone. So Hammurabi is stating why he should be the ruler. He has been giving this information by the gods. Below the prologue, closer to the base, are the 282 laws, organized by theme, including family life, agriculture, theft, and professional standards. There are a total of 3,500 lines of writing, covering both sides of the stele. First of all, you can see it's well organized and well thought out, and the laws pertain to the time that we're talking about. They're meaningful. Also, the person who had the job of carving that, the scribe, would I have been nervous. Following the laws is an epilogue, in which Hammurabi states how the laws should be carried out. So now you've got a little bit more of a breakdown of the actual stele itself. And so we're going to go ahead and go over the answers for document A. Now would be a good time for you to get out your answers to document A. This way, if you want to add in any additional words or ideas or thoughts that you noticed, this would be a really good time. So if you need to pause this and get to this particular document, your answers, go ahead and do it, and you can make changes to these answers if you need to. Question 1 on document A. It says, what kind of writing was used to inscribe the code on the stele? And that is cuneiform or cuneiform, whichever way, but that is the type of writing that is used. Number 2, the code is divided into what 3 parts? And that was pretty simple: the prologue, the 282 laws, and the epilogue. I think that was pretty straightforward, not too much thinking there. It was right from the writing. From what or whom does Hammurabi get the laws? The god Shamash, the god of justice. Now this is important because Hammurabi is saying, listen, you guys, it's not me. I'm not telling you this. This is the gods. I'm just telling you what the god told me to say. So he is kind of taking this stance of, you really need to listen to this because it is directly from the gods. Is there any evidence in this document that can be used to argue that Hammurabi's code was fair? What is the evidence? So this is kind of starting to take shape of answering your CER question. You might have brainstormed a lot more than this. You might have some additional ideas from this particular document. Here are a few things you could add in if you don't already have this. So according to the image at the, right here. Oh, okay, right here. According to the image on the stele, Hammurabi consulted the god Shamash, who was very much the source for law and justice in the Babylonian people. I clearly have a typo right there. So sorry about that. Nice little pause right there. But the point is, like we just kind of said, Hammurabi consulted a god. It has to be correct. It's coming right from the god. This is not a human making this up. This is not just your leader. This is a god. So you have to do that. It's also compared to what some people might say is Moses receiving the Ten Commandments from God. That is part of Christianity's story. And so Moses is a human on earth, but he's receiving a message from a higher power. And that was what Hammurabi was saying was happening to him. And so how can you argue that it's not a great way to get your information and it's not the laws to carry out? If it's coming from a god, it has to be the laws. It has to be great. So that's possibility or evidence that it was fair and just. It was coming from a god, not from a human, not from an unfair source. Number 5, is there any evidence in this document that can be used to argue that Hammurabi's code was not fair or it was not just? And what is the evidence? Well, we're learning that there's this god named Shamash, this god of justice, but what do we know about him? What's his background? Does he care about the people? Does he not care about the people? Was Hammurabi just making this up? Is God really talking to Hammurabi? Did he really meet with a god? How does that play out? Was he just picking a god to get everyone on his side? And then the last part is just thinking about there is no involvement of the people making the laws. So boys and girls, it's not we get to vote on some laws, we get to ask senators or representatives to say we'd really like to propose this bill to be looked at to become a law. That was not part of what happened at the time of Hammurabi. Hammurabi made the laws that supposedly came from the god, and then that was it. So there's no debate, there's no asking the people, there's no involving people. So that could be a little bit of a piece of evidence that maybe things were not so fair, especially for the people. Okay, so now we've kind of gone through document A. It's pretty quick, pretty simple, but you may have gathered some new ideas from this section right here. You may also have some ideas that we didn't talk about, and that's great. That's okay. These are just a couple things to add to it if you don't already have those. All right, now we're going to go ahead and go on to document B, so I'll meet you back here in a minute. Again, boys and girls, you don't have to have document B out right now. I just have it out because I want to read it to you. Again, just to see if you can catch anything new or different or meaningful a second time through. And then then we'll go through the answers. So this is from actually Hammurabi's code. It's been obviously translated. So this is right from his code. And the dots before and the dots throughout mean they're taking parts of it out. So when you see ... that means something's missing. It's too long to put in there. It's too wordy, whatever. So that's what that means. But this is from Hammurabi's code. So the first one, Hammurabi, the protecting king I am, that the strong may not injure the weak. In order to protect widows and orphans, I set up these my precious words, written upon my memorial stone, before the image of me as king of righteousness. He's not really shy to say that he's doing a pretty good job, right? The king of righteousness. This is what I'm doing for you. So, but that's his, what he's claiming. Next one down. By the command of Shamash, the great God and judge of heaven and earth, let righteousness go forth in the land. Let no destruction befall my monument. Let my name be ever repeated. Let the oppressed, who has a case in law, come and stand before this my image as king of righteousness. Let him read the inscription and understand my precious words. So he is saying, first of all, No destruction befall my monument. He believes that these monuments are going to stand the test of time, be there forevermore, and follow the subsequent leaders forever. That is what he is saying there, and he's like, "I'm so good at this. I've thought of such great laws. This is going to last forever. These steles will be here forever, and so you better listen and follow along." And let's see, understand my precious words. Okay, the next one down. In future time, through all coming generations, let the king, who may be in the land, observe the words of righteousness which I have written on my monument. Let him not alter the law of the land which I have given. In other words, I'm so good, you don't need to change these. It doesn't matter how long in the future this goes. These are going to be great laws, and you should keep them. I've got it figured out. So Hammurabi may be doing some good, maybe doing a little bit of like, I'm pretty awesome. I don't know. You guys have to interpret this. That's just me. If the ruler does not esteem my words, if he destroys the law which I have given, may the great gods of heaven and earth inflict a curse upon his family, his land, his warriors, his subjects, and his troops. So, if another leader should come in and destroy those steles, take over, not use Hammurabi's great laws from his god that he has connections with, then Hammurabi is saying, I'm cursing you, and you will go down because no one should interrupt what I have going on. You should continue on what I say, and if you don't, I will curse you and your family and your land and your warriors and your subjects and your troops. So that is the claim that he makes on his stele with his laws. Now, if we switch over to the answers for document B, go through these kind of quickly. Number one, according to Hammurabi, what was the purpose of having written these laws? His purpose was to protect the weak against the strong and give the oppressed a chance to know the laws and know their rights. This was pretty unheard of during Hammurabi's time, to give these rights to the weak and let everyone know, if you don't follow these rules, this is what will happen, and to try and be consistent. Now, we weren't there at the time. We don't know where they really held out consistently and followed through consistently. I don't know for sure. I don't know if anyone knows for sure, but the idea was there. The display makes it clear so no one can argue with the consequences. Having set and posted laws were unique in Hammurabi's time, he wanted them to last forever. So they were placed in a spot that were ornate, and I'm going to tell you this, and you should keep these here, and they're great, so you don't need to change them. Number two, who commanded Hammurabi to create this monument? Well, we know the god of justice, Shamash. Number three, what does Hammurabi threaten will happen to any future Babylonian king who does not follow these laws? Hammurabi says he will put a curse on him, his family, his land, his people, and his soldiers. There's nothing left. That person, that leader, would be totally cursed. And number four, how can you use this document to argue that Hammurabi's code was just? What is the evidence? You might have other things. You might be percolating some ideas that you want to prove that his code was just. So you might have jotted down some things here from document B that don't match up with this, and that's okay. But here are a couple more things. The purpose of Hammurabi was noble. He wanted to protect ordinary people from power being overpowered by the powerful. Okay, he wanted to protect the weak. How it actually played out, I don't know for sure, but he had that in mind. He wanted to protect people. That seems pretty noble. That seems pretty righteous, as he says. And then he wanted to keep probably control of a growing population. How can you control mass numbers of people? Well, by having a united belief. And what's the united belief? In this God Shamash, who Hammurabi speaks to. So that's a pretty good uniting thing. You don't want to go against a god, and everyone believes in this god, so we can control the population in a way that doesn't allow for violence and uprisings and so forth. And then, like I said right here, any other thoughts you might want to jot down? And then the opposite. How could you use this document to argue that Hammurabi's code was not just? What is the evidence there? The code, again, does not come from the people. It is not a representative document that the people voted on, decided on, asked for. So perhaps it doesn't really reflect what the people need and want. It seems reasonable to, but maybe it doesn't. And maybe it wasn't executed as well as it could have been. So those are some thoughts to get you started on A and B. I think you're getting a better sense of Hammurabi's code. I sure hope you are. And what you're going to do today is C, D, and E. So I'm going to preview those for you really quickly, and you are going to then have the chance on your own independently to read through those, or with your partner or your class. I don't care how you do it, but not me. You're going to look through those other documents and get to know Hammurabi's code even better. So I'll be back in a second. You can make some continued adjustments. Maybe you had an idea, a thought, something you want to jot down. Go ahead and do that. And then we'll be back with C, D, and E. Okay guys, this is what document C looks like. It's posted in Google Classroom, so go ahead and grab it there when we're done with this little preview. And it says the source is excerpts from Hammurabi's code from about 1754 before Common Era, BCE. And then note there are 282 laws in Hammurabi's code. The number below refers to their order on the stele. So they're taking exact laws off of that. Now, of course, they've translated them. So there might be some dots in here or some translations in there, but you can read Hammurabi's code. Okay, then I'm going to go on to D. Okay, guys, more rules and laws from Hammurabi's code. This is document D. We've got several more laws that you can read through and decide just, unjust, fair, not fair. And finally, E. So document E is available here. Some more laws from Hammurabi's code. Again, means something's missing or they've shortened it in some way, but you can get the idea. And you may have to look some words up. I mean, I'm seeing the word shekel. I don't know. You can look up some words if you're not sure. But we'll be back again to discuss these laws and rules and have the answers to these documents the next time we meet. Remember, in Google Classroom, you have these documents and the question documents. You need to answer the documents in Google Classroom, and then we can go over these at a different time. Okay, boys and girls, talk to you soon. Have a great day. Have some interest in this. It's pretty cool. I hope you enjoy learning about Hammurabi's laws.